Good afternoon and welcome back. I'm Marcus Peter. Many voices are scrambling to explain or explain away the surge of young people entering the church, but ignoring the most obvious cause, the supernatural first cause. Joining me to talk about this is John Horvat. John is Vice President of the American Society for the Defense of Tradition, Family and Property, and the author of Return to Order. John, great to speak with you again. How are you?
Great to be back on the show. Very well, thank you.
So, I'm going to begin with a kind of carte blanche question, which is, I welcome your thoughts as to the recent surges in, frankly, record numbers of conversions coming in, especially during the Easter Vigil.
Well, I mean, I think we're seeing something that is extraordinary. It's not necessarily. We really haven't seen anything like it. A lot of people criticize those who make a big deal out of the fact that a good number of people are coming into the church, because they say, well, a good number are also leaving the church. But the fact that the people who are leaving the church are the exactly graphic you'd expect to leave the church. They are those who have no catechetical formation. They're promiscuous Catholics, and so it's really no surprise. It's been happening since the Second Vatican Council. So, I mean, that's the demographic. But what we're now seeing is another demographic that is the least likely to leave the church. You're seeing Muslims and non-Christians and pagans and atheists and leftists and young men and celebrities, elites, major Protestant figures. They are converting, and this is a very hopeful sign, I think, because it shows that we're attracting the least likely. So something must be happening there that's extraordinary.
Is there something that's unifying the kind of people who are converting?
Well, I definitely think there is. There are certain sociological phenomena that people looking for purpose, meaning there are a lot of frustrations with the modern day world, but I don't think that alone is the reason for it. There's definitely supernatural action, the action of grace that enters into the soul that converts people. Faith is a gratuitous gift given by God. You really can't do too much to make it happen. You can do all sorts of things to create the conditions, but God, in the final analysis, is the one that converts people.
What about demographically? Are they intellectual converts? Are they converts of a particular emotional experience? Just share your thoughts there.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you're seeing people that, we wouldn't expect. I was sort of surprised because a lot of people are pointing to the fact that elites are converting. I didn't realize it was so widespread, but Ross Douthat in the New York Times, he says exactly that. He says it's almost a status symbol now to convert to the Catholic Church. So this is something that we hadn't seen. And, of course, the young men. I mean, young men, and for the first time that since they've been doing polling, more young men are going to church than young women. So it's there's definitely something happening there.
What do you think is driving, especially young men, to look at the church in these frankly unprecedented numbers?
Right. I mean, it's I've talked to these young men, and I mean it's really quite interesting to hear their stories. A lot of them have had experiences, even mystical experiences. I mean, not all. We don't. God's not obliged to appear, or Our Lady's not obliged to appear. But many of them have felt in their souls the effects of grace, the effects of grace enlightens the intellect and strengthens the will, so that you're able to do things that are supernatural, actually, because you're participating in the divine life of Christ. So, yes, I think that is a big factor in there, that they're searching and they're finding. And God is, stepping in to help the process along.
On the flip side, too, as you think about these converts coming in, it's very clear that society's overt push to not even recognize transcendence, let alone God, is driving people away. Can you please speak to that phenomenon?
Right, inside the church you have that. I mean, that's another factor that adds to the whole mystery of the thing, because, inside the church you have elements that are doing everything possible to not attract. It's with very vapid liturgies and taking away devotions, taking away the things, the beauty that attracts people. But despite that, people are coming to the church and they're attracted by the beauty. They find it in another place, maybe in another parish, but that doesn't seem to decisions of these people, which is curious because they see that there are human shortcomings and live with it. I think largely because the alternative is pretty terrifying. Not to have this relationship with God.
In your work, one of the things you combat too is how the modern narrative promised liberation from God and therefore the full actualization of human persons, but we're not really seeing that. In fact, the utopia that was promised is quite the reverse. Can you please comment on that?
Yes, definitely. I mean, all these new things that are people, were supposed to attract people and getting along with the modern world, progress, all those things have really fallen by the wayside, and it is failure. I mean, the statistics alone would be enough to be a failure. Any company that would present statistics like we're seeing inside some sectors inside the church would be rated a failure. But so yes, it's people are not attracted to synodality, but to tradition.
Now, that longing for tradition is also a longing for structure. So, like you rightly mentioned in the article, one of the things we want to highlight is if we look at the pure numbers, the church is still losing more people than she's converting. What are we to think of that?
Yeah. Excuse me, I didn't get the question.
What are we to make of that?
No, definitely. I mean, there are numbers out there, and it is disconcerting that we're still losing a lot of people. But we're gaining the right people who are entering despite everything and with an enormous amount of effort, with a contagious enthusiasm that is, revitalizing certain sectors of the church. I mean, you have, for example, the pizza box people in New York City. That was just in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, saying that you have 100 or 200 young people meeting at pizza box, and they have pizza. And they say, everybody, let's go. We're going to church. And they fill up the church, nearby church. And, it's 100, 200 people there, standing room only. I mean, that's impressive.
Okay, so we're looking at these conversions coming in. Are we ready for them is the other question. Have we created an avenue to steward that gift well?
That's a good question. Yeah, I would hope we are. I think that a lot of if anyone who's gone through a conversion or reversion experience knows that you are not the only person involved, that God is involved, and you're willing to do a lot and to do almost crazy things to say, well, I want to be part of this. And so I think thankfully those who are converting are not being turned off by people who who almost regret their conversions. I was struck by the Report America magazine, which is the very liberal Jesuit magazine, in which the lead line to the article said scores of Catholics are entering the church today at Easter. I mean, it's not scores; it's thousands, and so is deliberately downplaying the idea that these people are, that there is a huge number of people that are entering the church. I mean, equivalent of I think I worked it out, something like Dayton, Ohio, entering that church, in a single year.
Well, John, as usual, a tremendous joy to connect with you. Thank you very much for making the time.
All right, no problem. Very good. Thank you very much.
My guest has been John Horvat, and John is the Vice President of the American Society for the Defense of Tradition, Family, and Property. And we've been talking about why so many people are afraid of the Catholic revival. The primary thrust of his article is that God is the author of this. Now, we do have to be good stewards of it, which is we need to be people who are willing to walk in companionship, to pray with them, and to journey with them, but also know that it is God who brought them in, and so God has a plan for them. Let's try to befriend them on this journey. Stay tuned, I'm Marcus Peter.